Arsenal sit top of the league, a place which some of their fans didn't believe they would be 10 to 15 games into this season. The mainstream media last year, when they failed to win the Premier League, said, we very much doubt they'll be in this position again in a year's time. And there they sit, top of the pile, a point clear of Manchester City. And there are headlines like this from Garth Crooks. He says, Arteta can whittle on all he likes about keeping clean sheets and the professionalism of his team's performance against Brentford, but Arsenal got away with this win. And that is the rhetoric that I have seen towards them from so many people with some of these narrow victories this season, where over the course of the past 5 to 6 years, we have celebrated it. We have lauded it when the Liverpools and the Man Cities won a number of games in their title-winning seasons by narrow margins. And I will concur that the attacking element of Arsenal needs to improve and needs to get better. But I do believe there has been a false narrative created out of frustration that people's predictions so far have been wrong about Arsenal again, that they wouldn't compete again this year, that they wouldn't be at the top of the league, that last season was a flash in the pan. And actually, they were criticized hugely last season for being too open and allowing too many attacks against their goal. They have fixed that problem. And I think it's got right up the nose of the mainstream media and has frustrated them no end. Their hate of Arsenal is palpable, in my personal opinion.
I'm not so sure. I don't think they are much better defensively, because actually we're talking about a team going from maybe third best defense.
So this is Jamie Carragher talking on Monday Night Football. Are Arsenal better than they were last year? He said, we'll go back to what he said at the beginning, just so you understand the context of it.
I'm not so sure. I don't think they are much better defensively, because actually we're talking about a team going from maybe third best defence to the best at the moment. And could that little difference make a difference? Of course. But we're talking...
Play that down. And let's break that down, because I won't come back to it on this video, I'm sure. But essentially for me, when I look at this, last season, yes, they conceded third least in the league. However, it was the abundance of opportunities they allowed opponents to create against them that has dropped significantly this year. They allow less progression, less opportunities, and less clear-cut chances. That, for me, needs to be focused on more. But it isn't. It's brushed over as, they've improved a little bit, but so what?
About a team who are going from almost the second best attack to sixth, even one of the stats is 11th. Now, we're still only, a third away through the season. Now,
see, they're focusing on that, but they've only scored 4 goals less. Now, goals from open play, they sit 11th. That needs to improve, there's no doubt. And I think most Gooners that think they're doing well this season have called that out. Me, as a rival, as a Man United fan, I've said that's still an area for them to improve on. That is fair.
I think if Arsenal continue how they are, and if this is the Arsenal that we're going to see this season, I don't think that can win the league. I really don't, because I think so many games are going to the wire, and sometimes that game can go against you. You think of the Ramsdale mistake, the big chance that Brentford had also in the second half. So those games that are 1-0 can easily go 1-0 against you. And for me, when we're talking about a different Arsenal, we can see it with the stats, but everyone can see it with their eyes. It's not sort of the same fluidity, the same pace, energy, creating chances. You can see that. I don't actually think it's anything tactical. When I watch Arsenal, I'm still seeing the same things. Zinchenko's going into midfield. Declan Rice has come in for Thomas Partey, but Thomas Partey was outstanding at this stage, certainly last season, and Declan Rice has been outstanding. Actually, in midfield, I'd say they're actually more offensive in that. When you think of last season, it was Granit Xhaka who was playing that sort of high left number 8 role, and he was almost a midfield player playing an attacking role. At the weekend, that was Trossard. At times, we've seen Havertz in that position. So at times, they've actually been more offensive. But the reason I don't think they are as fluid, I just think individually, the attacking players have been average this season, where they were on absolute fire last season in terms of Martinelli, Saka, Jesus.
And that's what I find really interesting about this, because if this isn't about tactics and the system, and it's just about individuals from an attacking point of view, then I don't understand what the big concern and worry is. We know that Saka can play better. We know Martinelli can play better. We all know as football fans that Jesus can play better. And they still only scored 4 goals less than last season. They're sitting top of the league, And we all would admit that they haven't been at their same fluid best attacking. But I agree. I think it is down to individuals not getting to their highest level yet. The only element that I agree with when it comes to this Arsenal conversation is there's no proof they can win a league title. This group, with this manager. That's a fair challenge. It's a fair cop. We don't know if they can do it because they've never done it before. And that's a fair challenge. But to act like we know that but ignoring the fact that we know these players can attack better, can score better, can create more, is crazy to me. The fact they've got a solid defense, they're hard to break down. All this now needs is the attacking players to click and go to another level. And I think they will. That is being ignored. I think it's harder to create a team that's kind of open and conceding too many chances to fix that mid-season than it is, based on what Jamie Carragher has said, for a player or two that we know are much better than they're performing to click into gear. I think it's going to come. I really, really do. But I'd love to get your opinions here on the way the media is attacking Arsenal. Why is it you think they're doing it? Let us know in the comment section below. Now, we saw Wolves last night absolutely robbed. Absolutely robbed. Now, I normally only cover the top six, but I have to focus on this because of my crusade against VAR. Let's take a little listen here to Gary O'Neill.
Just a lot of decisions.
So Gary O'Neill has just been in to see the referees after their game ended 3-2 to Fulham.
Vinicius should have been sent off for headbutting Max. Clear. Headbutts him on the nose. Isn't sent off, he's given a yellow. Tim Ream should have been sent off for his second bookable offence on the penalty. So they're both my opinions on those. Obviously, people can have their own. We'll get to the penalties that went against us. Nelson plays the ball, doesn't touch Tom Kearney. I've watched it back with the referee, and to be fair to him, he says he thinks they've got that wrong and he should have been sent to the monitor. Doesn't help me.
So, Wolves have been hurt this season by VAR and the referees more than anybody else. And I think he's absolutely right to speak his mind. He's doing it in a very cool, calm, and collected way. His language is perfect. But they were absolutely robbed again. I think the penalty conceded in the last few moments was a penalty, personally. But the first penalty they conceded wasn't, and they've had that admitted to them already by the refs. Sorry, we got that wrong. Vinicius should be sent off for a headbutt. It's clear what he did. It's 100% a red card. And then when they got their own penalty, for Ream not to be sent off, we saw this in Man United versus Everton, but because Man United won, nobody was talking about it, where Ashley Young should have been sent off. It's happened again today, where he should be off the pitch. So that's potentially two players that should have left the pitch for Fulham. And I understand the idea of fans want spectacles. People don't want to see the teams go down to 9 to 10 men and 9 men. But that's not what Wolves are here to do. Wolves are not here to create a spectacle. This isn't a movie. This isn't the West End Theatre. This isn't Broadway. This isn't a Beyonce concert. This is professional football where their job is to win football matches. And there have been 2 penalties at the end of games recently that have cost Wolves points. You go back to the opening game of the season where they should have been awarded a penalty against Manchester United at Old Trafford. And then today's debacle of 2 red cards not being given and a penalty that shouldn't have gone against them. What does that accumulate to? 5, 6, 7 points? Imagine they get relegated this year and they're 3 points, 2 points, 1 point away from safety. These games could be all the difference. Imagine they do even better than that and they miss out on a European place, which is prestigious for every single football club, by 4, 5, 6 points. They currently sit 12th in the league, so I don't think they'll get relegated. I think they're too good. But with those extra 5 or 6 points, they could actually be sitting on 20 points, which would put them about between 8th and 9th in the league, which puts them near European positions. It actually puts them up there where right behind the likes of Brighton and only 3 points behind Newcastle, who are being lauded. And for me, something's got to be done about this. I know the media are going to probably have a go at Gary O'Neill and say it's dangerous to call this out. It's not Gary O'Neill's fault if some delinquent thug online starts abusing a referee. He is right to call this out. And the mainstream media who ignore this are an absolute disgrace to football. It's an abomination that this is continuing. We can all see it was a clear red card. Tim Ream needs a second yellow card for that tackle. The penalty they conceded, as soon as we saw the replay, no way, that's a pen. Not overturned. Protecting the referees and then trying to cover it up with nonsense statements is infuriating managers, players, and fans alike. I do not advocate the abuse of referees. They shouldn't face abuse at any level of the game. But abuse and criticism are not the same thing. And if you criticize the referees, you are not responsible for idiots and thugs abusing them. We can't live life like that. They are completely separate from one another. The catalyst to a thug abusing a referee is not Gary O'Neill or Jurgen Klopp or Mikel Arteta calling them out. It's that thug being a dickhead. That's all it comes down to. The mainstream media have got to stop protecting these referees because they are hurting football badly. And Wolves, listen, I genuinely mean this. Clubs like Wolves should think about suing them. Genuinely think about suing them. Because these decisions are not just bad, but they're overly inconsistent. And the transparency of the lack of transparency is palpable. I'd love to get your thoughts and feelings on that, people. Look, hit the like button for us, please. Make sure you're subscribing, and I'll see you all again soon.